Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's been a pretty hectic week already when it comes to War Thunder, and it's only Tuesday, so I thought in this video we'll catch up with some of the smaller news elements and kind of talk about them, while the dev server is continuing to update, and also at the same time, a lot of things are happening in the background when it comes to War Thunder 2 in terms of new packs and also things that are happening. We also have the XF5U event, which is about to start, so I'll make a few videos about that, and also at the same time we have the pack sales, which are probably going to start soon for the anniversary event. So there's just a little bit of everything going on, and I'll keep you involved with all the different stuff. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. The first piece of news is there was a devblog for the CM34, the Clouded Leopard. This is a vehicle that's coming to the Chinese tech tree at rank 6. It follows kind of a long line of these very large light tanks that Gaijin are adding, basically this new age of IFE, which is very similar to the Patria chassis. The vehicle is absolutely huge, just like stuff like the Badger, for example, and also the Vilkas and many others, and it is only armed with a 30mm Bushmaster cannon, which obviously goes chunka and pens a little bit over 100. The problem with this cannon is you have to research the APF SDS for it to be viable, and also at the same time you just die to everything and it's just a pain. This thing is at 9.3 because it has other factors such as very good thermals and also the ability to scoot around, but generally it's going to be a bit rough when playing it. The history is kind of fun. In 1985, a joint project with the Irish company Timony Technology was launched to develop the CM31 mechanized IFV vehicle. Due to its failure to meet requirements, the project was cancelled, but in 2002 it was revised, resulting in the development of the CM32 Clouded Leopard prototype. The vehicle was tested with various types of armament, and in 2017 the project was revealed to the public in an expo in Taipei, with the American Bushmaster 2 30mm automatic cannon, designated the CM34. After upgrading its armor protection and electronics, the vehicle entered serial production in 2019 and became the backbone of the motorized infantry. I'd obviously much prefer these types of platforms to have larger guns, but it seems like not many of them do, and that just makes me sad. There was also another devblog for the AH-56A, the Cheyenne, or whatever you want to call it. This is going to be a Squadron vehicle that is coming in for America, and it's going to be at rank 6. Obviously, this is a really hyped vehicle, and I'm super happy to actually see it. It's one of those vehicles which is actually unique in the helicopter world, and just a little bit more interesting than what looks like we're going to get for other nations. Obviously, when it comes to helicopters, there's not a ton of really interesting, crazy designs out there, and, well, this is one of them, which is pretty cool. One of the things that's also pretty interesting is a bunch of AH-64Es coming to other nations. There are at least 3 sat in the dev server files that are just there, so I'm guessing we're just going to have to see how and what goes on with that. The history of the vehicle is also pretty interesting. In Vietnam, the US Army modified Iroquois helicopters to have combat capabilities. However, they soon realized that this was not enough and started a new program in 1964 called the Advanced Aerial Fire Support System for a new dedicated attack helicopter. 12 companies, including Bell, Convair, Sikorsky, and also Lockheed, submitted helicopter designs, with Sikorsky and Lockheed moving on to the second stage. Lockheed's design for the CL-840 eventually won in 1966, with a contract to build 10 prototypes being issued the same year. This proposed design was unique in that it was designed as a compound helicopter, meaning it had fixed wings like a plane, a rigid main rotor, and also an extra tail-mounted propeller in a push configuration, giving it increased speed. It was designated the AH-56 and given the nickname Cheyenne, and first flew on September 21st, 1967. The prototypes went through several test flights during 1968, and the US Army awarded a contract for production AH-56 helicopters. However, on the 12th of March 1969, the test pilot encountered issues with the rotor, which led to a fatal crash. The Cheyenne prototypes were grounded, and an investigation into what caused the crash ensued. Several improvements were made to the helicopter after the crash. However, it took longer than needed to fix all the issues, delaying the project. This caused the US Army to fall behind schedule, and so it gave Lockheed a cure notice by April 1969, requesting that all serious issues be fixed in 15 days. Despite Lockheed's attempts to fix the problems with the helicopter, the Army became cautious of its overall safety and cancelled the production contract on the 19th of May 1969. Lockheed continued to try and fix the issues, but the US Army closed down the AAFSS program in August of 1972. And also in 1972, very shortly after the closure of the AAFSS program, the US Army launched another attack helicopter program called the Advanced Attack Helicopter. As a result of the AAH project, the famous AH-64 Apache was developed, which is still in worldwide use today. So, the AH-56 unfortunately lost out at the end of the day because of issues that it had. But when it comes to War Thunder, at least we can continue to have it in the game and also not have any of those issues. The vehicle is very fast, it has a lot of really interesting, unique kind of flight capabilities, and also the fact that the chair spins at the front is just a nice feature. In Datamine news, there's a few interesting things. It seems like Gaijin are going to be selling some kind of pack with that Yak 1 that we talked about. You know how there was a random Yak 1 in the files, the Litvyak one? Well, there's also a few other things too that have come along with it. They've added it to the live server, just like they've added the XF5U to the live server as well. And at the same time, what they've done with the Yak 1 is they've added a profile picture. So Lydia it's Vladimirovna, which is a very hard word to say, my apologies, Litvyak. So there's a profile picture attached to it, and also an icon and many different things. So I wonder if this is something to do with just kind of celebrating her history, because obviously she is the good old flower of Stalingrad. And she's been in the game previously, basically as camouflages, but not as a unique vehicle. And I wonder if this is kind of a push to have more historic vehicles in the game attached to historic people. We've seen kind of a push over the recent years by Gaijin to try and create packs around specific stuff, right? But the historical part of War Thunder has pretty much been limited to the pages of history with the profile pictures. Everything else has been, more like discounts on previous premiums and stuff like that. So if they're going into a world where they want to actually have historic figures and, kind of sell them alongside their specific vehicles, that's something that I've always wanted them to do. So hopefully this is kind of the first push into that area and makes a bit more sense. There's also going to be a new pre-order. This might once again already be out by the time that I make this video, because this always seems to happen to me. But basically there's going to be a new pre-order for the Su-30 Mk2, which is the good old vehicle from the Russians. So this is the export vehicle which went to Venezuela. It's on the dev server. We had a look at it. The big difference between it and the standard ones is it gets the KH-59MEs, which are these big anti-ship missiles. They're not going to be that useful in the game, but maybe at some point they will. But at least right now, not too much. The pre-order that you get the Paladin of Sovereignty title, which is interesting. And then also you get a decal, which is the 132nd Squadron Venezuelan Air Force patch, which I think looks really cool too. There's also some news from smin, and it's basically just about Singapore again. And this should have been obvious after the last Gaijin post, but it's nice to see some kind of follow-up on, what they're doing. So if you don't remember, Gaijin were going to add Singapore to China. And the reason is because, well, Singapore doesn't really have the capabilities of having its own tech tree, and China seemed like the decent fit compared to Gaijin, or for Gaijin, sorry. Then they got a bunch of pushback, not just from the Singaporeans, but also from the Chinese community. So what they decided to do is make Singapore a floaty nation. So what they'll do is they'll stick Singapore in a bunch of different nations, basically based on the vehicles and where they fit the best. Singapore uses Leopard 2s, the Leopard 2 SG, and people were worried that China was going to get access to a Leopard. I don't know why, but there you go. And now smin has confirmed that China is not getting the Singaporean Leopard, because why would they? Obviously, after what Gajin said, which was the vehicles will go to the trees, which made the most sense, of course China is not going to get the Leopard, because it would make no sense. But, once again, it's nice to see this thing actually set up. China will get the Abrams, though, because that makes sense for some reason, and that's where we're going to go with this. So yeah, hopefully in the future, Taiwan will just buy a Leopard 2, so therefore it'll get into the Chinese tech tree anyway, so it won't make any difference as always. Just remember, in this update coming up, you can change the nation's flags, so you can cosplay as your favorite nation. It's pretty sick, and I'm looking forward to it. Makes it easier for all of these different things, which is very positive. That's all the little itty-bitty pieces of news. The dev server has updated today, so we'll have a look at that and see what's about. Hopefully you're all doing very well. I am definitely developing a cold. We have a pox in the house, so hopefully that doesn't hit everybody too hard. Thank you for watching as always. Peace be with you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.